The limits of kindness. Have you ever felt like you're the go-to person for everyone around you? Always willing to lend a helping hand, but never stopping to think about yourself. If this sounds familiar, then you're in for a story that will challenge everything you thought you knew about kindness. In a small town surrounded by lush green fields and old, cozy houses, there lived a man named Daniel. Everyone in town knew him as the guy who was always ready to help. If someone's bike chain broke, they'd shout for Daniel. If someone needed help carrying boxes, they'd knock on his door. If someone was feeling lonely, they'd go straight to Daniel's house. He never said no, always smiling and saying, "Of course I'll help." But slowly, without realizing it, Daniel's life stopped belonging to him. His garden was overgrown, his windows were broken, and his roof was in desperate need of repair. But instead of fixing his own problems, he was out in town fixing everything for everyone else. His days were filled with helping others, but his nights were spent feeling empty and tired. His mother looked at him with worried eyes and said, "Daniel, my dear boy, you help everyone, but why does no one ever help you?" Daniel would just give her a small smile and say, "It's all right, Mom." He believed that one day people would remember his kindness. But that day never came. One evening, a fierce storm rolled in, and the townspeople rushed to protect their gardens and belongings. Daniel ran out to help his friend Oliver, who was still outside, but not to save his own things. He went straight to help Oliver, while his garden furniture was still exposed to the elements. The storm hit, and by the time Daniel reached home, his garden was destroyed. He sat on the front steps, rain dripping from his face, staring at the mess that used to be his peaceful sanctuary. His mother placed a warm towel on his shoulder and said quietly, "Daniel, today you saved everyone's things except your own." For the first time, Daniel felt a glimmer of realization. He didn't say a word, but inside him, something finally broke. The next morning, Daniel visited old Mr. Harris, a wise retired teacher who lived in a small cottage near the river. Daniel sat down beside him and said, "Sir, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I help everyone, but I feel empty and tired, not from work, but from people. Why does it feel like kindness is breaking me?" Mr. Harris watched the river flow slowly and said, "Daniel, look at this river. It gives water to trees, birds, animals, and farms. But when it rains too much and the river forgets its path, what happens?" Daniel thought for a moment and said, "It floods and destroys everything." "Exactly," Mr. Harris said. "Kindness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You are kind, Daniel, but you have no limits. You run everywhere for everyone, but nowhere for yourself." Mr. Harris told Daniel, "For the next 7 days, don't say yes immediately. When someone asks for help, pause and ask yourself, will helping them harm me? Will I lose time, peace, or energy I need for myself? If yes, then say, not today." Daniel took Mr. Harris's words to heart and started to make changes. The next day, Oliver came to him and asked for help moving a heavy box. But Daniel remembered Mr. Harris's advice and said, I'm sorry. Today I need to fix my own fence. I can help you later, but not today." Oliver was shocked. "You're saying no? You never say no." Daniel nodded quietly. Oliver left looking upset, but Daniel felt a sense of pride in taking care of his own life. As the days went by, Daniel continued to say no to people who needed his help. He fixed his fence, cleaned his house, and invested time in himself. And something unexpected happened. People started respecting him more. Oliver began solving his own issues instead of depending on Daniel. The townspeople stopped calling for every little thing. Daniel's house looked better, his garden grew beautifully, and his face looked fresher. He laughed without feeling tired for the first time in years. He was no longer the man who was always available for everyone. He was the man who valued himself. One afternoon, Mr. Harris visited Daniel and asked, "So, Daniel, did the world fall apart when you stopped saying yes to everyone?" Daniel smiled and said, "No, sir. In fact, my world finally started coming together." Mr. Harris nodded with a gentle smile and said, "When you stop saying yes to everyone, you finally said yes to yourself. And that's when life begins to change. So, my friend, are you like Daniel? Do you give too much? Do you say yes even when it hurts? Remember this, no does not make you selfish, it makes you strong. It means you're choosing peace over pressure. Your time, mind, and heart are precious. Protect them because the world will respect you. Only when you start respecting yourself will you find true happiness.